The full-size truck segment sure is a lucrative one. Just ask GM, the company sold over 800,000 of their Silverado and Sierra twins just last year alone. Today I'm taking a look at the fully refreshed 2016 Sierra Denali. Let's go over some of the reasons why Americans just can't get enough of these trucks. Now, about 2 years ago, I showed you guys the all-new 2014 Chevrolet Silverado. It was the first model year of the all-new third generation of these Silverado and Sierra twins. Now, this time around, I'm showing you guys the more upscale version of the Silverado. This is the fully refreshed 2016 GMC Sierra Denali. Now, if you guys remember, the Sierra and Silverado names came to the US in 1999, but don't let that fool you because GM has sold a truck in the US since the 1930s. Now, these two vehicles are designed to go head-to-head with Ford's very successful and popular F-Series, their F-150, and the GM twins have always been right behind the F-150 in terms of overall sales. Ford consistently sells over 900,000, approaching 1 million units every year. GM is right on their tail, the company moving over 800,000 of these trucks last year. The GMC Sierra represented about 250,000 of those sales, while the rest of the 600,000 came from Chevrolet from their Silverado. So you can see for 2016, the company is giving this truck a pretty extensive overhaul in terms of the design, in terms of some of the technology features. So let's go over some of that more in depth. Now you can see the front end of the all-new Sierra sports a slightly updated look. My particular Denali trim comes standard with these very attractive and bright full LED headlights. You have an LED daytime running light, an LED turn signal, and an LED low and high beams. It certainly gives the truck a very premium and luxury look. I mean, you could basically think of the Denali version of any GMC to be very much approaching Cadillac levels of luxury and refinement. You're also going to find a lot of chrome on this vehicle. The Denali gets its own unique front grille. It's a very big, bold grille already on these GMC Sierra trucks. You can see the Denali ups that with a chrome billet insert in the middle of the grille. On the lower part, you're also going to get slightly more chrome just to accent it a little bit more. And overall, you're going to basically not mistake this thing for anything but GMC Sierra. These trucks have always had a very distinctive look. Now, one thing I am very happy about is the fact that GM gave this truck its own unique look. If you guys remember the first generation GMC Sierra, it looked just like the GMC Yukon version, which in turn didn't really look too much different from the Chevrolet Silverado. Of course, there are slight differences in terms of the grille, in terms of the headlight design to differentiate the two, but GM has gotten better at differentiating the two brands and making the GMC appear and look a little bit more premium. Now you can see these 20-inch polished wheels come standard on the Denali version. Mine has that polished finish is about a $300 upcharge versus the standard finish. It looks very nice. I'm actually very happy that GM resisted the urge to put these gigantic 22-inch chrome wheels as standard. Now, if you guys want that, there is an optional 22-inch wheel if you guys want to get that. It's like $2,000 more if you guys want to get the bigger wheels. Now, you can see, looking around the side profile of my particular truck, this particular one is the 5-foot 8-inch long bed. This is the shorter bed. You can, of course, take the pick between several different cab configurations and bed lengths as expected with a truck like this. You can choose between a regular extended cab and then the full crew cab like my Tester. The crew cab does offer a short bed like mine, which is 5 foot 8 inches, and then a 6.5 foot long bed if you guys need a little bit more space around back. Now you can see, looking at the rear design of the GMC Sierra, it has its own unique look again. The taillights are slightly different. You have full LED taillights, just like the front headlights. These corner bumper integrated steps are standard on this Denali version. They certainly make getting up into the bed area a lot easier. The truck also has what GM calls their easy spring-loaded assisted liftgate, where if you open the liftgate, it doesn't slam on you, which is a good thing. A lot of manufacturers actually forgot or weren't including a feature like that for the longest time, and I believe GM was one of the first. So it's a nice thing where you don't have to the tailgate doesn't slam when you do open it. It's just makes for a much more graceful opening and closing procedure of the tailgate. Now, overall, This truck is pretty damn big. It stretches about 229 inches long. Now, for comparison, a brand new 2016 Mercedes Maybach S600 stretches about 215 inches long. So this is a good 14 inches longer than the Mercedes Maybach, which is pretty much already limo-like. And if you guys go for the longer version of this truck with the longer bed, the 6.5-foot bed, it's going to stretch over 240 inches long. So again, if you guys are not accustomed to driving a big vehicle like this, or if you live in a crowded city like DC, where I'm from, this may be more of a challenge, and those of you who aren't used to it will probably have to take some time getting used to maneuvering such a large vehicle. But of course, Americans definitely like vehicles like this. It's one of the top sellers in terms of money makers for auto manufacturers. But let's take a look at the interior and see if it carries over that premium look that the exterior portrays. Now, first approaching the all-new Sierra, you're going to notice one feature that my tester has that's particularly useful. It's got a power deploying running board. That's a $1,000 upcharge. I highly recommend it if you're a shorty like myself, because you're going to need the help getting in and out of this vehicle. It's a very tall vehicle. You can see, opening up the door, it will reveal a very inviting, very premium and upscale cabin environment that you just simply wouldn't find on a truck just a few years ago. You can see the seats. They're very comfortable leather bolsters. They are nicely supportive. They are heated and cooled as well, for those of you who are looking for that. Now, stepping inside the vehicle, the step rail, again, really helps. And of course, getting inside the truck, you can see it has a very nice commanding view of the road. This is what you expect when you buy a full-size half-ton truck like this. And shutting the door, it has a pretty nice solid thunk. One thing I don't really necessarily like is the noise that running board makes. It's a little bit noisy. I hope that GM will address that loud clunk that it makes when it retracts back against the body of the vehicle. Now, you can see here, my particular tester does not have push-button start. You can't get that on any price on these trucks, which is weird to me. The new F-150 offers push-button start and intelligent access. GM also offers it on the Tahoe, on the Yukon, on the Escalade. There's no reason why they shouldn't offer on this vehicle just because it's a truck. I believe truck buyers would appreciate that feature as well, especially since this key looks pretty cheap. It doesn't really go with the rest of the vehicle, although the remote fob looks pretty nice. This vehicle, of course, does come with remote start, but to start it, you have to basically, it's traditional, stick the key in and then turn the ignition. And then my particular tester has the up-level 6.2 liter V8. It's about a $2,500 upcharge. It makes for a very authoritative truck in terms of acceleration. This is one of the quicker accelerating vehicles in this class, also one of the larger V8s in the class as well. And you can see, looking at the rest of the interior here, the ambiance is pretty nice. The Silverado has pretty similar details, although the GMC version does have a little bit more upmarket materials in terms of some areas here and there. But you can see both trucks have a stitched soft touch portion on the entire dashboard. It's very nicely finished. The graining feels really good. The door panels here are also soft touch. There's some chrome door handle accents here. It's leather stitch right here where your elbows are going to rest. The window is automatic up down for both the front windows and the back windows. So it's nice that GMC gives you that feature. The steering wheel, you can see my tester obviously is the Denali. It does show the Denali badge here as opposed to the GMC badge if you guys go for the lower trims. Now, one thing that I do like about the Sierra versus the Silverado are the gauges. These are very classy, very upscale looking gauges, and to be honest, I just showed you guys that Cadillac ATS-V, which had horribly ugly gauges. These look very nice. I don't understand why GM isn't very consistent here. Cadillac should have gauges that look just as nice as these. Instead, they were putting those cheap, just tacky looking ones on the ATS. That's, of course, my particular taste. Now, looking at the rest of the center stack here, there's some brushed aluminum accents on the around the surround of the infotainment system and the vents. There is some faux wood grain accents around the cabin right here, as well as on the door panel. Some of the materials here, they are a little bit cheap. You can see the wood grain trim kind of just moves a little bit, but of course this is a truck. This is not a luxury vehicle. I just wish that GM had addressed the fit and finish a little bit more. I mean, the rest of the plastics here, they feel pretty much utilitarian. This is what you expect in a truck like this. Now, looking at the center stack head unit here, this is of course the 8-inch IntelliLink head unit. It has been updated for 2016 with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which will be a later availability. If you guys connect to the USB port, of the vehicle, you can basically just project your iPhone into the actual screen here, which is basically what Apple CarPlay will do. So it's a very nice feature. The vehicle also has their text message capability where it will read aloud your text messages to you if your phone is connected, and you can also reply. Of course, because this is a GM product, you also have their OnStar with their 4G LTE wireless rolling hotspot where you can connect up to 6 devices. So that is, of course, a nice feature. You will have to pay for a service through AT&T if you guys want to continue that. Now, looking at the navigation function here, you can see it's basically the standard GM navigation head unit. Not as elaborate and nice looking as what I showed you guys in the Cadillac version, but surprisingly, even though it's not quite as nice, for example, it doesn't have the hand proximity sensor, the system actually works better. It is much quicker to populate and to respond to your touch inputs versus the Cadillac version. I suspect because the processor is not having to deal with all the graphics, all the loading that the Cadillac has, which GM just honestly needs to beef up on the upper head units just to compensate for those additional graphics. Now, of course, your audio sources are pretty much what you expect. You have Bluetooth streaming, you have Pandora, you'll have AM, FM, XM, satellite radio, you have your USB. All the modern sources are pretty much here. So GM, in terms of the technology, is right on the forefront. And to be honest, I prefer this much more than my Ford Touch. I haven't had a chance to try out Sync 3, which I will be doing soon, but this particular GMC IntelliLink works pretty darn well, and a lot of buyers, I suspect, will pretty much be very happy with this truck in terms of the technology. Now, other things that I'm really liking, the dashboard has lots of big knobs and large buttons that are well labeled, and these pretty cool toggles. It's really easy to use. Your seat controls here for your heated and cooled seat. GM even gives you the option to just heat the backrest if you guys don't want your butt getting hot. You have dual zone automatic climate control. You have a big knob for your volume, a nice knob for your tuning here, well labeled buttons, nice toggles here. You can see these are for the power adjustable pedals. For those of you who are short like myself, that's the cab light, stability control off, your parking sensors if you want to turn them off, your lane keeping assist, which is new for 2016, downhill assist control, and then that's if you want to turn off the step rails or if you want to move them, just the position of them if you guys want to actually use them to get to the bed. You can see here, looking at the rest of the center stack, lots of good storage down here, really good storage here for your phone, your keys, your wallet, lots of power outlets in here. I mean, you literally have a plethora of them here, so if you guys want to charge up your phone, if you're at your work site, you're definitely going to love that. The wireless charging port is also, or pad is also new for 2016. If you guys have the special backing plate, you can just put your phone right here, it'll wirelessly charge it. This freaking center console is gigantic. It'll fit a 15-inch MacBook Pro laptop in here, so it's good if you guys want to hide stuff like that. My tester does have the optional $1,000 sunroof. It's not a big panel roof like what Ford will give you, but it's nice that GM does give you the option to get a sunroof on this vehicle. It does come with 2 glove boxes, so I mean, in terms of storage, this is why Americans love these trucks. They make excellent road trip vehicles because of all the storage, because of all the room. You can see just how wide this vehicle is. It's 80 inches wide, so you're going to have a lot of space if you don't like your passenger next to you, or if you just want room to spread out. Now, looking at the rest of the steering wheel, of course, you have buttons here for the rest of your controls. Your heated steering wheel controls here, cruise control. This vehicle does have forward collision alert. It's a passive system. It won't actually hit the brakes for you. It also lacks adaptive cruise control. That's something that the Ford offers that GM hasn't offered yet on these trucks. This controls, of course, your trip computer and any of the other displays that you want to, cycle through. I mean, overall, the interior of this truck is certainly very nice. I think it definitely fits the class. It's pretty much as nice as what Ford offers, but GM is lacking in terms of the technology. There's no push button start in here. The steering wheel is not power tilt telescoping. I kind of wish that they did offer that, but you do have memory seats. You have a 8-way power adjustments. Then, of course, here you have your controls for your automatic headlights with automatic high beams, your 4-wheel drive switch controls, and then your trailer brake controller is right here as well, right within easy access, along with the column mounted shifter and your tow hook controls. Now, when you do put the vehicle in reverse, which, by the way, this 6.2 V8 does come with the 8-speed automatic transmission. GM has been replacing the 6-speed auto. When this truck first came out, it had the 6-speed auto, and then in 2015 they replaced it with the 8-speed auto. When you put the vehicle in reverse, you do have a nice backup camera with distance and trajectory. There is no front camera or 360 camera, but there are front and rear parking sensors. I think that GM should consider offering that, especially when you are dealing with such a big truck. Now, checking out the rear seat area of the crew cab model, you can see it has a crap ton of room. I mean, this is a really great family vehicle, especially if you have really big friends that you want to carry in your back seat. Because the truck is so wide, you can easily fit 3 across. The seat itself is almost flat, but I wouldn't hesitate to actually put 3 across back here just because it's so big. Now, if you guys need to actually put stuff in here, the seat does fold up, so you can try to hide some stuff under here. it does fold back down pretty easily. Now getting inside the truck, there is a nice step handle here along with the step rail or grab handle, and you can see getting inside, shutting the door, the materials are actually hard touch plastic. It's not the same soft touch that's in the front seats. Kind of disappointing, but it is soft touch right here with more of that wood grain accents. You do have 2 matte pockets as well, and then there are no vents surprisingly back here. I was surprised to see that. There's no heated rear seats either. I kind of expected that in the high trim Denali version, but you can see here plenty of legroom, plenty of foot space, lots of really good commanding view of the road. There is a nice armrest here that folds down with some cup holders, and then of course this back window here does slide open electrically from the front seats. Now looking at the rear area of the truck, you can see here are the step rails that I was telling you about. So all you have to do is put your foot there and just grab on, and it's really pretty easy to get into the bed of this truck. Now you can see my tester does have the spray and bed liner. I highly recommend that for those of you who do plan to actually put a lot of stuff in the truck or in the bed. And you can see there's the easy release tailgate, which doesn't slam. I really love that feature. You can see this is a pretty wide bed. You can basically, honestly, I wouldn't see the need to get the longer bed, but of course I don't really haul a lot of stuff. I don't have a need for a truck like this, but those of you who do, very nicely finished bed. You're never going to forget that you got the Denali version from that Denali badging that's in the bed liner, but overall you have pretty nice tie-down hooks. There is a light that shines down. There are LED lights underneath the bed rails for those of you who do plan to load up some stuff at night. It does help you out with seeing where your stuff is going. Now under the hood of this big old beast, you're going to find a pretty big engine for the half-ton class. This is the largest and most powerful engine you can get in the Sierra and the Silverado. This is the 6.2 liter Ecotec direct injection V8. It does good numbers. This is basically the same engine you get in the Cadillac Escalade. 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. The standard engine is a 4.3 liter V6, if you can believe it. That actually makes 285 horsepower. From there on, you can go to a 5.3 V8 that makes about 355 horsepower. This particular configuration does come with an 8-speed automatic. It is rated at 15 in the city and 21 on the highway, so decent numbers, especially for the V8. Now, GM does not offer a twin-turbo V6. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised to see the company think about stuffing in that 3.6 liter twin-turbo V6 that's in the Cadillac ATS-V or the CTS-V Sport. I think it would make a great motor in this truck. It would basically just compete with Ford's EcoBoost V6. Now, the truck weighs roughly around 5,800 pounds. This particular configuration is rated to tow about 11,700 pounds, and it'll carry about 2,500 pounds in the bed. So in terms of a work truck, it's pretty much there. Let's get out on the road and see how it all works together, shall we? So first, setting off in the completely refreshed 2016 GMC Sierra, the first thing I want to say is I'm pretty familiar with this platform and this chassis. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with it. Ever since GM redesigned this platform a couple years ago, you know, it's been a very solidly built truck. It goes up against the main competitor, the F-150, pretty well. And really, to choose between the two trucks just comes down to your personal preference. But let's take a look and see if this 2016 model feels a little bit different versus the 2014 Silverado that I showed you a couple of years ago. Now, the first thing I want to say as well, first putting my foot down, is this truck is surprisingly quick. I mean, the thing weighs over 2.5 tons, but it really gets out of its own way. That 6.2 liter V8 is definitely a nice upgrade versus the 5.3 that I showed you in the Tahoe and in the Silverado. So those of you who can pony up for that additional 2,500, I would highly recommend going for the stronger motor. Now, I actually have the truck in its two-wheel drive mode. There is basically a real four-wheel drive system. There's an automatic mode, a 4 high, a 4 low. But I actually enjoy driving the truck in this rear drive mode just because it has enough power to get the back end to slide out. And it definitely makes this thing pretty fun to drive. Now, one thing that is new versus the earlier 6.2s that I drove is the 8-speed auto. I've showed you guys this transmission, this powertrain combination in the Escalade. It certainly has the same charismatic appeal is in the Cadillac. This truck is very potent. It's one of the most powerful and largest V8s available in the half-ton segment. And it definitely has its own charisma compared to Ford's EcoBoost V6. Now, when you put your foot down and leave it all the way to the floor, this truck will get to 60, I'd say in the low 6-second range, 6.2 seconds. I mean, this thing will go toe-to-toe with Ford's EcoBoost V6. So those of you who basically pull up next to the current F-150 at a stoplight in a drag race, I would say line them up because the two trucks would probably be pretty similar. The one area where the GMC is superior is the transmission. This 8-speed is one of the best truck transmissions in the class. It has wonderful spacing, it's quick shifting, it's really responsive. It basically gets the job done, and there's a lot to like with the current generation GMC Sierra. Now, in terms of just normal everyday driving, one of the reasons why Americans love this truck so much, or love this class so much, is just the comfortable, roominess that you get. I mean, it glides down the road like a luxury sedan. The magnetic ride control dampers really soak up the bumps, and even though the truck is unloaded right now, it really rides extremely well, even though it has a live axle, even though it has these big 20-inch wheels. I mean, potholes around here in DC, I barely notice them in a vehicle that's this big. Now, one thing about driving a truck this big is you're probably concerned about the visibility, and it's actually pretty damn good, to be honest. You have these incredibly large side mirrors, really great view of the front, of the rear. Really, I am missing blind spot monitoring. The Ford offers it. I'm surprised that GMC has not thrown it onto this, but you do have a little blind spot convex mirror on the driver's side. So, I mean, honestly, if you're used to driving a big truck like this isn't going to feel any different. Those of you who are used to driving smaller vehicles, it's going to take you some time to get used to the overall driving dynamics. Now, handling is another area that you probably aren't too concerned with a truck, but surprisingly, the Sierra handles solidly. The electric power steering is on the numb side, but you can see it's incredibly precise. It's really light, so that aids in getting you through those tight parking maneuvers that some of you may have to deal with if you drive these on a daily basis. Now, getting up on the highway, this is another area where a full-size truck like this really excels. The ride is comfortable, the seats are comfortable, it's quiet in here too. Even though this is a big box, GMC has done a really good job with cabin isolation. There's plenty of sound deadening materials. And at highway speeds, you really don't hear anything unless you put your foot down. Then you hear that lovely V8 growl. And that's something that differentiates it from the Ford pickup truck, is that nice V8 growl. Some of you, may prefer that over the twin turbo V6 that's in the Ford, but of course, if you want an F-150, you can also get it with the 5-liter V8. However, Ford expects that you probably are going to end up getting that car or that truck with the V6. Now, coming back to the Sierra, one thing that I am noticing is it doesn't have adaptive cruise control. It is available on some of its competitors. New for 2016 is the active lane keeping assist, so if you bear from your lane, the truck will automatically actually steer you back into the lane. It also has lane departure warning. The truck also does have forward collision alert. It is a passive system. It won't actually hit the brakes, but it will pre-charge the brakes, and you can adjust the distance from a button on the steering wheel. Again, it's not active, so there are a couple of safety features here that GMC is not putting in their full-size truck, which is odd because it is available on its SUV counterparts. The Yukon Denali, for example, offers the features that I'm talking about, as well as the Escalade. So I'm curious to see if GMC will eventually rectify that. My guess is the company thinks that truck buyers don't want it. Honestly, at this point, if I'm going to buy a fully loaded luxury truck like this, a lot of you are probably trading in a luxury sedan. A lot of you probably need the capabilities of a truck, and you want those same luxury technology features in your truck. And that's basically where a lot of you will end up choosing a fully loaded Denali model like this. Now, fuel economy is probably something that you're wondering about. Now, this big 6.2 V8 does have cylinder deactivation. It will run on 4 cylinders under light loads. There's a little indicator in the instrumentation that indicates when you're in V8 or V4 mode, when it shuts down that half bank of cylinders. Now, actually, I've been averaging about 14 miles to the gallon in mostly city driving around DC. That's not bad. This truck is rated at 1521. On the highway, I did get it up close to 20. It was around 19.8. So that 8-speed auto really does help. It's honestly roughly the same in the real world as what you're going to get with Ford's EcoBoost V6, just because those turbos have to keep constantly working. Now, regarding the price of the Sierra, this truck for a base work truck in the regular cab starts at around $27,700. That's roughly around $700 more than a Ford F-150. Now, the one thing about these big full-size trucks is there is a plethora of ways that you can configure them. Honestly, it's too many ways for me to talk about in this one video. So if those of you who are interested in buying one of these trucks, I suggest you go to GMC's website and build it the way you want it, because there's so many different cab configurations. I will tell you that there are 4 trims available, starting at the base Sierra, SLE, SLT, and then this top trim Denali. This Denali trim starts at $51,000, but it does give you a lot of extras. Too many for me to name. Just know that this is the luxury version of the truck. Now, my truck tester has a couple of expensive options on it. The V8, for example, is $2,500. That's 6.2 V8 with 420 horsepower. I think it's kind of worth it. You might as well check the box if you're going to spend over 50 grand. The powered retractable running boards on my tester are about $1,000. The moonroof is $1,000. $300 for the polished wheels. All in, mine's about $60,700, which is not cheap. But honestly, that's what you're going to roughly pay for a vehicle in this class. And a comparable F-150 costs about $5 grand more if you guys want it. Of course, it does offer a couple features that this truck is lacking, such as the adaptive cruise control, push-button start, features like that. Now, of course, with a truck like this, some of you who have purchased it, or at least most of you have probably purchased one, you're going to notice that there are a lot of rebates and incentives. It really varies based on what you qualify for and if you're trading in a vehicle. So you can expect to take almost $10,000 off the sticker, maybe even more than that, for those of you who qualify for those additional rebates. So again, it makes the truck more affordable, and it's one of the reasons why it's such a big seller for buyers in the US market. Now, anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2016 refreshed GMC Sierra Denali. Now, in terms of which one I prefer, I'll be honest, I haven't tested the all-new F-150. However, I do prefer this new platform to the previous generation F-150. I have shown you guys full in-depth reviews of the old model. Expect me to show you the fully redesigned F-150 soon. But until then, those of you who are in the market for a truck like this, I would highly recommend the GM Twins. And it really comes down to your preference. Some of you may prefer the styling, the dynamics of this truck. But again, if you want the most up-to-date technology, you may want to check out the Ford, the Dodge, the Ram, if you guys want the Eco Diesel option. Or if you guys prefer Japanese, there's also the new Tundra and the new Titan. So there's a lot of choices in this segment. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this full overview. If you guys are also looking to see the latest trucks or vehicles I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, keep subscribed to the YouTube channel for all the up-to-date reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.